over here. I'm gonna go through your starting system and your battery and stuff first. Then I'm gonna go through the engine system. Both of the engines are gonna be the same. And then I'll go through your guys' starting and transmission because they're gonna be a little bit different. So on this guy, these 110s are the only ones that have the ignition. You reach down, you turn your key on your ignition, turn your kill switch on up here. At that point, you hit this yellow button. Should fire right up for me. At this point, it's gas and go. So as soon as I touch this throttle, it's gonna take right off. As soon as it's reached its RPM and that clutch engages, you do have a governor screw down here on this. So the further you turn this screw clockwise and turn it in, the more it's gonna limit this bike. That screw's gonna be right down here, and it's got an 8mm lock nut on it. They can shut it off right here from the kill switch. They just need to make sure to turn it off right down there at the ignition. The bike's very simple. It's basically just like a CRF 50, except it's obviously electric start and automatic. So if you're not gonna ride this bike for 21 days or longer, you're gonna want to charge the battery. It's gonna be back here, right up under this fender. You've got an inline fuse block right here. And that's a standard 5-amp round automotive fuse. You've got a couple of those in your bag down there. If you're not gonna ride this for 21 days, you're gonna hook it to the maintainer. Red to positive, black to negative. Let it set 4 to 24 hours. Now,
21 days with the gas.
Yep, same thing, 21 days with the fuel. Because if you're not gonna ride this bike for 21 days or longer, you wanna go ahead and turn the fuel to the off position. This right here is gonna be your drain hose, one with the spring on it. You wanna come on over here, and this screw on the bottom of your carburetor down here, on this side is going to be your carb drain screw. As you open this screw, that's going to allow it to drain the fuel out of the bowl of the carburetor there. As long as it's been less than 60 days, you can go ahead and turn this petcock back to the on position. It'll fill up the bowl of the carb. Take just a second there. As soon as that carb fills up, you can fire it up and you're ready to roll. Now, if it's been 60 days or longer that it's sat, instead of starting it once you turn the fuel to the on position, you want to go ahead and open that fuel drain screw. Let it drain the tank. We don't recommend running fuel that's sat in it for longer than 60 days. The fuel starts to break down, turns to an ethanol-based gel. That's another part of the reason we always recommend running a 91 octane. These little tiny engines will routinely see 100+ miles to the gallon. So they're not going to burn a whole lot of fuel, and it will make a difference in the carburetor and how long they'll last on the carburetor side right here before needing clean and stuff if you do run that 91 octane. It's going to be your choke lever over here, so if it's extremely cold outside, the carbon filter have gotten extremely dirty, or you haven't ridden the bike in an excessively long time, you may need to flip that up to the on position, fire the bike up, let it warm up 30 to 60 seconds or until the bike shuts off, and you can flip your choke off, fire it up, you're ready to roll. Right behind your choke, you've got your idle adjustment screw. Turn that screw clockwise, it's going to raise your idle, counterclockwise, it's going to lower your idle. Now once you've got this home, you've set this governor into place, you're comfortable with the children riding at that speed, you'll let them ride it 3 times, 20 minutes apiece. 20-minute ride, 20-minute cool down. 20-minute ride, 20-minute cool down. Third cycle, you'll take it for a 20-minute ride, then you'll let it cool down for an hour. You're gonna drop this 17mm drain bolt right here on the bottom of the engine, let that oil drain, put this bolt back, then you're gonna fill it up right here. Now these are shipped all over the nation, so it says 15W40. Down here in Phoenix, we run a 10W40 instead. These will hold 28 ounces of wet clutch approved motor oil. Now even though this is an automatic, it still does have a wet clutch in this side of the engine case. So any AutoZone, O'Reilly, Napa, Walmart, Pep Boys, they all carry that. We run generally Valvoline or Lucas are our 2 preferred brands, but pretty much all of them are going to be similar. Like I say, this will hold 28 ounces. A single quart is 32, so 1 quart is more than enough to do your oil change. Your brakes on this guy are drum brakes, manual, just like a bicycle. So by turning this adjuster out and then tightening this, that would increase the tension on your front brakes. Same thing down here with this 14mm. That will remove the slack and make the brakes react faster. It will also make them a little harder to pull, so keep that in mind as you adjust them. Same thing with your rear brake back here. You've got a 14mm adjuster, works just like the front. And the very last thing is your chain tension. So right now this chain's pretty tight. We have just less than an 1/8 of an inch. If you get to the point you've got more than 1/4 of an inch, it should set right between an 1/8 and 1/4, then you would want to go ahead and reset the tension. To do so, you'd loosen this rear axle, remove these rear lock nuts right here, 10mm on each side, and then begin to tighten the front lock nuts a half a turn at a time per side. As you do that, you can keep an eye on the tire, make sure it aligns nice and straight by checking that the center line here shoots right down the center of the shock, not off to one side or the other. Once you found your desired tension, go ahead and lock your axle back into place, replace your rear lock nuts, you're good to go. We'll get you loaded up, boss.
Chris.
I'm gonna come through, do the same walkthrough with you guys, and we'll get you out of here. Yes.
California Girl Scout.